Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL One Cologne offline qualifier. We've been here for the last 3 days, of course, at the lovely ESL Arena in Katowice, sifting through these 16 teams to decide which 8 are going to the major, to LANXESS, to play for $1 million. That's what is on the line here as well, and it's just as well I bring that up because we get to the stage of the day when we decide 2 teams that are moving through. Big deal for these guys. So let's not waste too much time. Let's get them up on stage. First of all, of course, they'll be coming in from my right or your left. It's G2 eSports. Coming into this tournament with a very clear goal, a very simple goal as well. And they've been taking no prisoners from the very start, of course. They kicked it off against Tyloo. It was a dominant performance after seeing the Chinese put up a bit of a resistance, but then up against Gambit, of course it was, a Hellraiser, should I say, on Dust2. That's when we started to see more than just the Scream and Shocks effect. Smiths turns up, of course, with the AWP and pretty much brings it down on the Hellraisers. Solid performance from them there as well. And they're looking pretty good. We're seeing some depth, a continuing story, I think, for G2 over the last few months. You can see Scream there as well. Spoke to him earlier on. I think the most I got out of him was easy game, but for them it is just another day at the office. And of course, their opponents, they haven't had an easy game so far. They've had a tough draw, but they've made it here as well at 2-0. Please welcome to the stage, mousesports. Definitely a rough start from mousesports, of course. Going up against Fluffy Gangsters, it went to the very end, went to the wire as well, as we did see Nex and Nico, of course, lift. But what we saw after that was even more impressive. They took on Cloud9 on Mirage, and we saw a united front from mousesports. Everyone lifting, everyone getting the job done. These guys are looking to be gelling very well. We saw Chris J especially start to remind people of just how much of a dynamo he is on that AWP. Alex, I guarantee you, no matter what the result here, both these two teams are out for blood. They know what's on the line, and it's serious business.
I mean, they do. They know what's on the line. The fact that, like you said, it ready for this, $1 million. You sounded very Dr. Evil-esque with that one, but I do want to say, you're right. I mean, 1 best of 1 and a chance at the major. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, we're not going to see any prisoners taken. Mousesports have had a rougher road. G2 now probably face their biggest challenge. I think that's safe to say. I'm hoping for a close game. We've seen some already today, but this one should definitely be a hot one.
It certainly should be. Let's see what Mousesports can do. Thanks very much, Mitch. I've got Pansy and Vendetta hanging out with me to break this one down. He's kind of framed it beautifully, actually. The fact that G2 and Mouse are meeting for a chance at the major. And let's not forget there are plenty of second chances for the loser of this one, but it is just that dream. You know, you play 3 maps, you top the qualifier, and you can just relax coming into Sunday. I think that is the dream scenario for both of these teams, of course. That's kind of stating the obvious. But let's get into the nitty-gritty. G2 outlined as the favorites in this one just because of current form. I'm seeing nodding heads already.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. G2 have been, well, out of any of the teams here, really been performing the best as of late.
Okay.
And they're probably the one team during the actual tournament who hasn't really shown any real signs of weakness.
No signs of weakness? Lauren, can you expand on that?
I agree. I think they're performing to maybe not the highest of echelons that we've seen. I think there's more potential there. Maybe Body not quite being in the top 2 players. You know, we've seen Shocks and Scream doing just fine. RPK having really good moments. Smiths being maybe a little quiet for my taste. I like seeing Smiths being maybe that defensive AWPer that he can be. He doesn't have to be a flashy player, but there were some issues on Dust2 that we saw coming through with him being overwhelmed. But I want to see Body finding form. But all in all, I'd still say that G2 are the most consistent team here that have picked up form that we expect. Whereas Mouse, there is an argument that maybe they're not quite to the par that we've recently seen to some small degrees.
And I mean, yeah, this is where I feel there's a lot of discussion to be had. Mousesports and their seemingly very quickly fluctuating form. It seems very hard to actually put a pin in where Mousesports are at this event or in general.
Yeah, it's extremely volatile, it seems, because you're always going to have the consistent factor almost of Nico, which is a crazy one to be able to depend on, but it's then who steps up with him, almost that kind of Na'Vi style thing. It's like, okay, well, Guardian's probably going to do well, who's going to join him?
Yeah.
Recently we've had Nex actually stepping up quite a bit, but it's like, okay, well, who else is going to be there? Because you need more guns to be firing against someone like G2.
That's understandable.
No, absolutely. I think for mousesports, they're going to need a similar performance to what we saw versus Cloud9 yesterday. It's going to have to be a team-wide performance rather than Nico, gunning for 80 frags.
Yeah.
So on G2 side, they haven't really shown any dip in terms of consistency from their 3 best players. Scream, Shox, and RPK have been playing reasonably well for their standards throughout the entire tournament. So they don't really have anything to fear, or they haven't given us any reason to fear that they might dip.
Now, the Vito's going to be intriguing here. I'll be honest, I did just see them running around on Dust2, so I'm not sure if that is the map or not.
It could be quite likely.
It does make a lot of sense.
It's very likely that it's either Cash or Dust2.
Okay.
Because these 2 teams have very similar vetoes, Mirage being one of them. That's one of the go-to vetoes for G2. Other than that, in the 2 games prior to this one, they've banned Overpass twice and Cobble twice. And on Mouse's end, they've also banned Overpass twice and Cobble twice.
Right.
Very similar.
Yes, exactly.
Very
the only difference really is that G2 bans Mirage and Mouse usually bans Train. So I'm expecting those to be the upcoming vetoes here, and then there's going to be a choice between whether or not you want to play Dust2 or Cash, because I don't think any of these are going to throw the curveball of Nuke in there.
So let's run with assuming it's Dust2, because
Okay.
these teams have had very different results on Dust2. I mean, let's not forget Mouse's struggles on the map, that we were expecting much bigger things from them in contrast to G2.
Yeah, you're spot on. G2 side looked consistent. Mouse looked a little flawed, considering this is one that you normally chalk up to being a very strong map for them until they start to actually find form in anyone other than, sadly, the same old names of Nico. It was a tough one for them to handle, but then you turn the coin, you look at G2. Everyone played pretty well. They didn't look that pushed. I'd say that Smiths, again, did have some issues. So then if you do the comparison of, well, what if Chris J has a good game, then you might have a real battle on your hands. That's where you could see some real fire coming in. But outside of that, I'm not sure. If it does come down to Dust2, I think G2 have shown a lot more recently, and there it is. So for me, this is a G2 map of showing, but then you've got to put into the point that Mouse have yet to play in that big stadium in the LANXESS arena, which is waiting out there for a German, I guess, founded team that still has that blood certainly running through their veins. That's a lot for them to be fighting for.
I think you framed that absolutely perfectly. Just the fact that you have a team that have yet to find that home crowd, and they're 1 map away. A map that they previously have said is their favorite map. Chris J in an interview yesterday said, it's normally our favorite map, it's normally my favorite map, I don't know what happened to me. So Chris, a personal adventure for him today versus a very scary opponent now has an opportunity to not only get into that $1 million major, but to do it on one of his favorites.
Yeah.
Predictions, guys.
For me, I'm going to have to side with G2 still. What they showed us yesterday on Dust2 was very exciting. Different kind of aggression coming out on their CT side. It was well thought out. It wasn't too aggressive either. It seemed like if there was a plan behind it, it wasn't an individual just running off by his own lonesome and doing something to be the hero. And that's a very good sign if you're G2.
I completely agree, but to play just a small devil's advocate, last time Chris J did say that he actually underestimated the opponents a little. They didn't focus up as much as maybe they'd like to. This is not a game you come into in any way, shape, or form and you underestimate the opponent, the situation. This should be mousesports with no excuses apart from their own performance. So, in theory, you've got to hope this is their chance to do it well, but logically, you'd still sit with G2.
Okay, sit on the fence. I'll allow it for this
Completely
one.
and utterly.
I will totally allow it for this one. And of course, I have to do my bit of machine analysis. Two members of mousesports, Spiddy and Nex, are not wearing shoes. And we know from Olaf,
it's a winning
that's the way to play. So you guys get your shoes off, put your feet up, and we've got a fantastic game of Counter-Strike coming up. It's Dust2. It's a game for the major. It's going to be a big one between mousesports and G2, and the casters most definitely are ready for this one.
We certainly are, myself and Natu. Can't wait to get into this one. Could be one of the best games of the day, and as we've already mentioned, the winner of this qualifies for the major. This is what it's all about. Dust2 as well, a map that the two of us coming into this thought, well, this actually doesn't really favour either team. They're both very happy on this map.
Yeah, I think this should be a good one. I mean, the only concern I have at mousesports is a little bit up and down on us too. We see some really good results from them, but at the same time, they seem to be breaking down every now and again. This week we've seen them play Fluffy Gangsters on Dust2. Yep. Ended up being an overtime game, so a little bit of shakiness there to be seen from mousesports, but the stakes are pretty high at this point, so you'd expect them to be providing the best game they can. But playing G2, it's not going to be an easy task, and we are already live here in the pistol round, and G2 is on the T side, Mouse on CT. And so the G2's by. They have two sets of nades here, and 3 armors, taking things slow, waiting for any potential aggression from the CTs.
As Lauren did touch on as well, Smith's still definitely out for the jury, I feel, on whether he is an integral part of a team. But this is a map that is his playground. This is a map that he typically performs on very well. Yesterday against Hellraisers, afterwards, Scream had an interview and he said, Smith's played great. This is where you expect him to shine, but the same could definitely be said for Chris J. said, here we go, into the pistol. Some damage has been inflicted onto Dennis in mid, so he's going to have to be very careful as the smoke is there. Just in case one of those G2 members decides to push on through and challenge him. He is setting up for a pop flash to peek. But as of yet, G2 will be pushing in.
Quite heavy emphasis from mousesports right now towards the middle. That could be the right call. Dennis is going to get pop flash in the middle. Gets that first kill in the body as well. Speedy connects as well. Going to be a quick 5-on-3. The rumble is on right now. And Shox makes a kill for G2. They are infiltrating that B bomb site.
Great flashbang work, but G2 have bounced back with frags of their own. RPK refusing to go down without a fight, just absorbing as many bullets as possible, and it's on that man in question. It's on Smith. They nearly line up for him, but instead Chris J is going to claim the first round and put that mousesports flag down on B.
Yeah, there you have it. Mouse is going to take that pistol. A bit of a back and forth battle there in the middle and towards the B bomb site. And we touched on Smith's. I mean, he brings some numbers, but at least even if he doesn't get a lot of kills on that, especially if he plays a lot around that car in a CT side, he still managed to delay the T side, pushing in a lot, gets that one kill, and keeps him honest coming out from catwalk. So he makes it work. I think it's still a bit of a question mark on Smith's side on how much power he can really deliver, but that's going to be mousesports now picking up that pistol round, and G2 taking a more conservative approach to this round number 2, not buying any armors. A bit of an upgrade on pistols.
Ouch, that grenade doing just shy of 60 damage. 2 scouts picked up for mousesports. No huge surprise overall in these weapons. Got the farming in the hands of the UMPs and the MP9. Eco's watching the cross from Cart, lands the shot. It's not going to be the insta-kill, but does so much damage in their body. The first of all in this round. The grenade damage is so huge, and it's a case of Dennis just lining them up, knocking them down alongside Nico, who's still staying in the exact same position. Shox is going to try and get this bomb planted and actually finalizes it. So, all things considered, sure, it was looking bad for G2, but a bomb plant's a bomb plant.
Exactly, yeah. That's the mission accomplished for them. Good job from Mouz as well, playing passively, keeping the distances, and making sure that the pistols are not going to be able to be in advantageous situations and they don't lose a single member. So that's going to be good going further, but at the same token, G2 is going to be able to buy here into round number 3 as they get the bomb plant.
No weapons taken away from mousesports, which is, of course, great news for the CTs. They'll be able to just keep all of these and not have to replenish anything. Already Chris J up to just shy of $5,000, so he can have an AWP in the next round if things go slightly amiss. But G2, as you called, a very healthy buy considering it's round 3 and they lost the first 2 rounds. It's an AWP for Smith, no big surprises with AKs behind it. And a very fast long push from RPK and uncontested as well. No one's home for mousesports. They've gone for this tunnel push instead.
Yeah, they're holding catwalk this time around, and G2 had the spawns for long. That's why they went there. And right now it seems like they're just going to be creeping up. Shox is going to see some CTs coming from up a tunnel. He's going to be able to trade 1 kill. But here comes the actual push. Nico is going to be under a lot of trouble. Does tack RPK, but he managed to get the kill. Becomes a 3-on-3, but the bomb is in a very awkward position.
Make it slightly less awkward with the smoke going down, but I believe Chris J tagged on the cross. Not entirely sure. RPK and Scream are both low, regardless. Mollies and HEs flying overhead, whizzing past the air of Scream. And meanwhile, holding long. Oh, this is going to be a rough retake, especially as all 3 players are coming in together, but Scream misses his chances, and he gets put down with ease from Dennis, and that opens up things nicely. Now second kill for Speedy. Smith's in the smoke. What can he get done? Misses his chance. And G2 will concede a 3rd round, which looked almost ironclad.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically due to the plant being in that position instead of planted for long. Smith could have just stayed on long had it been planted for it. Made it awkward there, but Scream definitely not having to use one taps on point there.
Oh, they're not talking about his one taps today, that's for sure. They're talking about his whiffed opportunity. Now, if that continues, mousesports will capitalize. And remember, it seems quite unforgiving having a best of 1 to determine who goes to the major outright, but remember, there's been 2 more matches ahead of this, so it's definitely not the case. That does mean that if G2 have an off day today, though, mousesports will be very happy to take the chance and run home with it.
Well, it seems like G2 has decided to force into this 3 AKs, 2 Tech 9s, plenty of grenades to work with, and another rather slow approach to things. Body is taking over this catwalk rather quickly. They smoke off the Xbox. quite common stuff on Dust2 actually. So you'll have to, I mean, obviously this part of the map we see Buddy in right now being the most instrumental. Gives you the opportunity to attack the A-bomb site or split that B-bomb site through CT spawn.
Ollie's flashbang. Plenty of utility has been expended for mid-control, which remains under the influence of the CTs. Oh, Dart comes in for body, but Nico is up to the task. He didn't give anything away for free. Dennis, in the meanwhile, holding down mid once again. Second kill onto RPK. He did at least take Nico with him, but the damage done, inflicted. Smith, surely he can't get this second kill. What is going on right now? He's still on about 50% of his health. Meanwhile, Shox is joining his side. So the buddies are looking to try and clutch this out for G2. This would be a horribly painful round to lose for mousesports, but Chris J is going to put it back into steady playing field. mousesports will get a fourth.
Well, it turned out to be a B split through the body jumping into the spawn. G2 also smoked off both left and right side, as in the spawn and the B ramp, as they try to push in for B split. mousesports definitely ready for that. They have a player in B, one in CT spawn and one in middle, so basically just heavy emphasis on that middle area. Makes sense, because A-bomb site on Dust2 is way easier to retake than B-bomb site.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of teams opting to just let it go off that A-bomb site. Make sure that you have the numbers favoring yourself when the opponent is pushing that B-bomb site.
Unless you have heavy utility in your hands and a couple of crazy entry frags, B is a nightmare to retake. It's a bastion, a fortress, if you will. But G2 looking to pull the trigger on this B play. Next is using a smoke very efficiently indeed. He's going to go for the repick. This could be a slaughter. 2 kills. He's going to hold down the trigger. He's slightly too far to the left. But 2 kills and managing to survive. He may even be able to reload his AK either, so he's not going to get punished. And Dennis is there as well. Good guy, Dennis, being the bodyguard. Dennis for the second. G2, in quick fashion, find themselves 5-0 behind.
And judging from how clean these rounds have been for mouz, their economy also is looking very, very healthy right now. You have Chris J sitting at 10k, Dennis at 9.4, well, about 5k for every one of them. So it's going to be all that much harder for G2 to try to break that economy. As the point type they need to start getting into this game.
Considering as well, Natu, that I have also been guilty of this, really singing the praises of Scream recently, he's on a 005.
Yeah.
This is one of the worst starts I've seen from him from the last few months.
Exactly.
He's been on fire, but he's done nothing this game so far.
Well, it's still early days, so he will have his opportunities. But definitely seen that whiff he had in that 3-on-3 situation there. It's not something we've seen from him all too much recently. Stack here in short. Chris J trying to get the early information on lower tunnel, but decides to fall back as he gets tagged slightly. G2 once again just building map control slowly, but it's going to be Chris J to get Smiths down on catwalk.
He did shoot from there earlier, but they maybe assumed that he'd have just backed away and played more steady and safe. But not even flashbanging before peeking seems like a mistake to me. It cost him his life. Dennis, this time assuming the role that we saw next take in the previous round. Similar reward goes his way. Scream on 28 health. The remaining members of his team are struggling. And body's been put down from Nico, so now so you've got to sing their praise. They have looked sharp so far in Dust2.
Yeah, I can't say the same about G2 as Shox goes down as well. It's all going to be on Scream. 28 HP, he's going to T-spawn, spot Speedy, it's going to be pop flashing, and he's going to be in for a bit of a duel here, but he's getting just, Scream getting sandwiched from all sorts of angles there. Has no opportunity to try and survive that one, but G2 right now seems very disconnected, to be honest with you. Dying 1 by 1 way too much, and rightfully, as you pointed there, Smith's going to the catwalk, getting picked off by Chris J, even when G2 obviously knew there was someone there just a moment ago, so you'd definitely like to see that flash come into play to help someone try to take over catwalk. So, it's not been a great start for G2.
It surely hasn't, but as you mentioned earlier, early days. We've seen G2 come back from this. We've seen mousesports, in fairness, crumble from better positions than this as well. So I'm not going to take this for granted, but I think it's the way in which they've taken the 6-0 lead that's looking very optimistic to me for mousesports. They haven't really been struggling at all. They've had some big individual plays. G2 now, in the 7th round, have very few weapons to really rely on. And RPK has put 6 foot under from Nico. No smokes, no flashes, nothing in the hands of G2. So it's going to have to be raw entry fragging power from Smiths, who has the scout on catwalk, but an AWP should trump over the scout. Chris J misses though, and now there's suddenly 4 players in close proximity. So can he make that AWP work? The first frag comes down, misses the second one. Where's the rest of his teammates? He's under siege. He needs some help as soon as possible. That bomb has been planted as well. Chris J somehow still alive, lands the no-scope, looking for a third one. Is he going to get it? No, he's not, but he has inflicted enough damage.
Wow.
mousesports take his own. And also, I'd just like to say, Scream has been recruited to the agencies, 007. I can't remember the last time I saw Scream drop a 007.
Yeah, what's the most worrying part is that on these rounds, the most mousesports members that they've lost is 2, basically. And except for the pitch round. So there've been 3 or more alive in these rounds. As we see Chris J here dancing in that A slope, surviving for the longest time. And we're going to see G2 finally on that buy round once again. That up on Smiths coming in and Speedy making his way towards tunnel, but maybe so that Scream doesn't have an idea of that actually. It's going to be another sandwich effect here. Also, we're trying to produce the tunnels, but they're not going to be finding anything. But they get a lot of information.
Smith has also dropped dangerously low on health. Scream, his woes continue. That grenade has damage written all over it. And it's going to be Smith's meeting his demise. Evaporates off the battlefield, leaving Shock's body in RPK with a huge task ahead of them. All 5 mouse players are alive and all of them on full health. The bomb should be going down momentarily. That Molotov kept them off it for a few more seconds. Shox is going to be trying to hold down the fort while RPK gets the bomb planted. So at least some funds will be coming into the bank account of G2 into the next round. They spot the boost and Shox is going to put him down. They must realize now that the majority of the CT retake is coming from catwalk, but of course that's only half the struggle, half the battle. 8-0. I never saw this scoreline coming up.
This is timeout territory for G2.
Good point, actually, yeah.
They are very disconnected. They're not doing things all too much together at all. And they are always down in numbers when they're attacking these bomb sites. Not once have they had the man advantage once pushing a bomb site.
They only have 13 kills in 8 rounds, collectively as a team.
Hence, mousesports swimming in money.
Just like to point out, Dennis is on 17 for 2. He has more kills than the entirety of G2 put together.
Yeah, it's been a massive first half for him, obviously. Sitting at 17. But here's another round coming in here. And now considering the lowest bonus and the bomb plant, G2 way enough money to buy into this round as well. And they are taking matters quite slowly. Taking over middle and just heading towards catwalk once again. As we can see from mousesports though, they still have heavy emphasis though in middle. 2 and B, 1 to see this spawn. And we have Chris J. So he's probably seeing what's going on around the long and car area. Letting go of that A bomb side. If G2 wants to attack the bomb side, then go for the retake.
It's not often you see Dennis carrying this hard as well for mousesports. You know, normally if you're going to list the players you expect to carry, he's not really in the top 3. Speedy. It's going to go down. This is maybe one of the best chances that G2 have had, but they are going to be running into a brick wall named Chris J. Scream gets out the sledgehammer though. I think that's his first kill as well, which is a sad state of affairs, but maybe the floodgates will open. When it rains, it pours for mousesports. Nico with 1, Dennis with another one, but Nico's been put down. It's now a 2-on-2. With it all to play for G2. The bomb's been planted as well, but Dennis is going to chime in with another couple kills. He's already dropped to 20, and we're only moving into round 10.
Wow. Massive plays from him, has to be said. For the first time, G2 with the mad advantage attacking a bomb site, but still great retake there. Look at this play from Nico, pop flashing in, gets RPK, doesn't realize the Scream is sealed by car. But Dennis with these massive kills on the Scream and Smiths to make that retake happen. And yeah, here comes the tactical positive. I felt like it could have or should have happened a couple of rounds ago. Totally honest with you.
Agreed. And another scary statistic for G2, they've got the bomb planted 7 times and it's been defused.
Yeah.
In 9 rounds.
Again, I mean, even in that round, it wasn't like them getting the advantage and them getting that bomb site wasn't even a product of them playing something crazy together as a team. It was just an entry kill long, basically. I think it was RPK just walking out through the long doors and getting the opening kill, or Shocks maybe, and then basically just flying with that. So they sound looking pretty for G2.
It's moments like this, especially in matches of this magnitude, where I just wish that I could hear what was going on inside these comms right now, like what the players are saying to each other, what they're trying to discuss, maybe just calm down, take the momentum away from mousesports.
Yeah, I mean, G2 is a team that the way it's built, and if you look at the lineup, that it is a lot about their individual skill. If they're not hitting their shots, they're going to be in tons of trouble. It is just the way it is. I mean, Shox and Scream have been inhuman as of late for the past month or so, and that's been the catalyst for them to be as good as they have been. And right now, they are actually seeming quite human.
They're mortal after all.
Yeah, there are no robots.
So they have enough.
But they're
funds.
samurai, though.
They are samurai, that's true. But does that mean that they have to go ahead and take the honourable way out then after this performance? Because to be honest, it hasn't been great, has it? But I want to believe they can turn it around still. There's still time. We're not getting towards, you know,
Yes.
the 25th round here. We're still in the first half.
If they can make it 5 or 6, it's possible, but they're going to be plowing all along. You see this here waiting for that push to come in, but they decided better of it. Speeding Chris J falling back. Chris J decides to take a bit of a peek there. Gets the shot onto Shox. Lands it. Yet another man advantage going away of mousesports.
Chris J had a lot of issues on this map against Fluffy Gangsters, but he has been stepping up. So credit to him. Credit where it's due. Body up long. Using that smoke to his advantage. Will be picking off Chris J, who just beforehand did get a second kill. Body and Scream. Scream on the wrong side of Long as far as Body's concerned. They'd love to get this bomb plant. You can see a boost up from Nico, so if they cross to the site, it's going to be dangerous time. Scream in the meanwhile lands the headshot, maybe going to start to awaken from his slumber, but now has to turn tail and get back into pit. He is a monster from these kind of ranges with the AK. You cannot take him for granted, but look where that bomb's dropped here, Natu. That is
Exactly.
terrifying.
That is the issue, and he's at 16 HP, so doesn't have all too much to hope for here unless Mouz decides to go and take 1-by-1 duels and Scream decides to hit those one-taps. But the odds for that are not too high.
If he hadn't been having a bit of a dip in his performance, then I would say maybe the impossible is possible for him. But good positions taken from mousesports, not pushing out too aggressively, not gift wrapping their lives away. And sometimes when teams get into this kind of advantage, they start to get a bit cocky, they start to get a bit arrogant and say, okay, well, we can't be killed. And that's maybe a way back in for G2. So I'm happy to see mousesports playing it smart instead of getting carried away.
Do you think when you're playing a deciding match for a $1 million major that you might not want to be cocky at any point in time?
There you go.
Before you get that 16.
It's all about the major right now. If they can do it, taking G2 down 16-0, that would be icing on the cake. But ultimately, yeah, the major is where their targets are set.
It's 10-0 to start things off for mousesports. Obviously, a totally different scoreline that we were expecting. It hasn't been all that equal, has it?
Certainly not. On paper, I thought this would be a real close-knit fought battle. The two teams just exchanging right hooks, haymakers, uppercuts, the whole 9 yards. But right now it's been a sucker punch from mousesports, and G2 is still trying to recuperate. They're still staggering. Tech 9 for RPK. With just a Molotov in his hands, a smoke and a flash for Body. So with a minute to play with, very little to play for G2, but look at RPK, he's managed to sneak his way all the way into the site, but fair play to Nex watching the cross. 2 kills for him. Meanwhile, the aggression comes through onto Catwalk, but again, the aforementioned lack of utility is going to hurt them so much, and Chris J with a second beautiful shot. He knows where Body is. He did spot him just beforehand. Body, here's the AWP round, rattle past his ears. First kill for him, nearly a second, but mousesports 11-0 up. What can you say?
Exactly. It's G2 just not finding the answers. mousesports keeps doing the same thing. If they're not pushing tunnel, they're just playing that heavy CT defense right now and leaving that A open. Basically just Chris J, the only one holding a bomb site, and then they'll play the retake. But they haven't really had to be too worried because their the number advantage they've had in a lot of their situations is just huge. This was G2 trying to do a bit of a B split fake there. But since RPK and Shox couldn't get any kills going on, that didn't cause any rotations. And right now, it seems a bit of a desperate round coming in from G2. They're just going to be rushing into a B split again. Here they go. Again, they're going to be having to face 2 CTs in that bomb site B and already lost 3 members. Numbers are definitely not fair in G2.
Dennis is a man on fire right now.
He decided to take mousesports to the major by himself.
Pretty much, 22 for 3. He could get a 23rd frag. He knows that RPK is roughly around the smoke. It's just a case of that clearing out so he can get the kill for himself. And there we go. Oh, he actually misses out on it. I'd have assumed he would. RPK keeping the dream alive. Maybe G2 are finally going to get on the board. Of course they're not. Speedy is there.
Now, G2 tried to switch up the pace way faster than what we've seen before. For the B split, and once again they hit a brick wall. Nico and CT spawn, and then you have 2 in that B bomb site. So it's a very hard one to make you work. And again, it's going to be mousesports sitting at 12-0 on the CT side of Dust2.
Overall kills for G2, 22 frags. Overall kills for Dennis, 22 frags. He is equalizing the entirety of G2's effort by himself after 13 rounds. This is some pretty crazy play. You do not often see this.
Now, G2 is actually playing with the idea of possibly doing something with long, but you have 2 mousesports members playing around that area. Instead, there's been an Xbox smoke now. So it might mean that they are indeed going for catwalk. Quite a bit of utility to work with here, but Khalil and a Tech 9, 3 AK-47s, and Chris J to take care of.
Come on, G2. I want to see you get some rounds. I want to see you make this competitive. Maybe I'm living a dream, unrealistic expectations, but Chris now moving into Goose. Shox is going to get the first kill. One of the first times we've seen this from G2. Chris J's going to switch to his season. Then line up for him at 2 kills for Chris J. Switching back to the AWP, he's going to go for the repeak again. Spots a shoulder. Misses the shot. That's going to cost him his life. 2-on-2. One of the best chances G2 have had to finally get themselves around. RPK looks up nearly. Pays for it with his life. Next, in the meanwhile, in a battle to the death, the meanwhile, Speedy has made short work of screen. Up long, RPK in a 1v2 with 29 health. He's going to be trying to tap, trying to emulate Scream. Finally gets the kill, but Next is there, and he's got a kit. It's going to be a 13th round, and he gets the AWP just for a bit of fun. mousesports.
It's fun to see Chris J playing good. Because he, to be honest with you, he's been quite absent for a lot of it recently. But definitely, he's been getting a lot of impact kills, and as we can see here with the replay there, just whiffing out the CZ. Those 2 big kills as Shox got the opening on the Nico. Finally looked like there's an opportunity for G2 to get on the board, but instead, it's going to be mousesports with the 13th of the first half.
I understand. I guess the G2 choke is, it's infectious. Body on long. Again, they get the first kills on Chris J, who has been a real thorn in the side. He may not be top ranking, he's had a lot of impact on the map, a lot of presence. Almost omnipresent from the G2 camp. Body and Shox. Here we go. Come on, G2.
They should surely be it.
If we don't win this round, there is something horribly, horribly wrong. The economy of mousesports and the fact that we're getting towards the business end of the half, they will go for this. Absolutely no reason to save, but the barrel of the gun betrays onto the AWP of Dennis, and he somehow gets the kill, and he is the man in form. If there's one person on the server right now that you'd expect to maybe have a chance at clutching this, it's him, but he gets caught with a nade out. Welcome to the scoreboard, G2. We've missed you.
Exactly, haven't we? It's definitely not being the kind of game we've been expecting whatsoever. They do finally get that round on the board off of a faster push this time around. They get the opening kill, and this time around they capitalize.
So here we go, G2. Are you going to get 2 in a row? Are you going to give yourself maybe a glimmer of hope if you get the pistol? There are so many obstacles which they have to navigate over, and flawlessly at that. They have no room for error from this point forward. To be fair, not for the last few rounds. mousesports, we're playing next level Counter-Strike. There's Chris J. Lands the frag, backs away, drops into ramp. Speedy holding it down with the AWP on the side. It's about to get aggressed on, you have to feel. That smoke is keeping a couple players alive, and he's going to land the shot onto body. Chris J with a CZ frag, and it's gone horribly wrong once again for G2. Lands another one, but it's partially through the wall, so Scream will survive just about for a few more seconds to be put down from Next. Dennis is there to round it off. 25 kills at halftime for him. pretty ridiculous. mousesports 14-1 in the lead.
Well, I think we're just going to take a half-hour break at this point and come back for the second half. It's 14-1 mousesports.
Welcome back to the Dennis Show. Although Chris J has been a pretty firm supporting character in this story. G2, 14-1 behind. Don't adjust your monitors. That is a legit scoreline. And they have been comprehensively outplayed.
Thought they called them eSports.
They used to. That's until Dennis just dropped to 25.5. Pretty ridiculous. Or at least they could be called Dennis Sports for this game. Although again, Chris J's definitely been pulling his weight. G2, they have had to deal with the shock and awe of mousesports. They are certainly shocked right now. mousesports looking to funnel their way through mid. This could be over very quickly if this pistol round goes into the hands of mousesports. And who else but Dennis with the drive-by headshot with the Glock. Body's on the site. And he's trying to hold fast, but Nico and Chris J. And he's backing up. Heads-up fragger, avenging his death. Bomb planted. G2 on the brink of a loss already. And mousesports move one step closer to qualifying for Cologne. They'll be playing on home soil in front of a home crowd. They'll be loving every second of it. Can G2 pull back the most miraculous comeback in CSGO? Not looking good, is it?
Yeah, I'm doubting at this point. It's going to be Shocks in a 1-on-4 situation. Being surrounded by mousesports. Chris J should have this. He has it. It's going to be map point at 15-1 scoreline. Something I don't think anyone really expected, but it is reality at this point. G2, I think they've gone missing.
Even the most optimistic mousesports fan would not have said it would be this one-sided. I firmly believe that.
Well,
not one that's not
well,
insane.
quite obvious, isn't it? Who would have? There's not a world where anyone would have predicted this score.
No, absolutely not. Not with the way that Scream and Shock's been playing. Not the fact it's Dust2, which is Smith's stomping ground. RPK's been playing well. Body's had some big performances as well, but just going out with a bit of a whimper in this matchup. Forced by, of course, as this could potentially be the last round of the match. mousesports will be coming through on catwalk. There's two CTs defend off against him. This 5-7 needs to go huge, and it's going to be put down with authority. Scream in the meanwhile does land a one-tap, this time with an eagle. Shox is going to be coming up from ramp, but meanwhile Dennis and Co moving onto the site. This bomb will be planted. The incendiary will keep them at arm's length for a few seconds, but now Speedy will be finalizing the plant. And from here on out, G2 have to pick up a 3v4 retake, and they're all coming through from the same angle. It's all on Scream. He's picked off from Chris J, 16-1, and he can see what it means to mousesports. They're going to Cologne.
That's one heck of a game. 16-1 for mousesports against G2. What is there to be said, really? G2 totally disconnected. Their individuals were not present at all. Shox, Scream, pretty much everyone. I mean, they were just not here. Physically, maybe, but it doesn't seem like in the server, nor to be found.
In body, but not in mind.
Exactly.
They certainly didn't show up today. And that's going to be bitterly disappointing because we said we expected G2 to have the edge in this match. mousesports have the potential. We know this. They've been playing Dust2 for eons. They really do enjoy this map. It even came from Chris J's mouth himself. But G2, I mean, they literally turned up on the server, but nothing was going right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but at least towards the, I think for the first 11 rounds or so, the most mousesports members that went down in their CT half was 2 players in those rounds. That's I think that says something. So a lot of them were not even close. There were only a couple rounds that were close for G2 to be able to take.
And as I mentioned as well, up until the second half, Dennis had either equal or more kills on his own than the entirety of G2, and that is a stat you would never expect when you've got the likes of Scream, Shox, Smiths, RPK, Body. These are guys that even if they're being put down, they're going down with a fight. This is the biggest upset, I would say, not in terms of the fact mousesports won, but the way that they won of the entire tournament for them.
That must have been the lone biggest performance you've seen from Dennis ever.
Yeah, and what a time as well.
Well, obviously.
What a time.
This is the perfect time to come with a performance like that.
They will be delighted. A very well-deserved win. But that's enough from us. Now, we're going to head back down to the desk, Alex and the boys, trying to decipher that mystery that we just witnessed.
A mystery indeed, guys. Fantastic stuff. I'm going to switch to German. I know you're Dutch, but I'm going to switch to it for the sake of Germans. Das war so richtig geil. Fantastic job, you guys, as well. Tell me, just quickly, before we get into the game, how does it feel to be representing your home country on your home soil at ESL One Cologne?
Well, it's not my home country, but I feel a little bit German, so I'm really extremely happy. It's awesome.
I mean, all the guys are super excited. I saw you at halftime as well. Smile plastered on your face. You guys knew you had this one under control. Analysis-wise, a little bit hard to look into here, but I do want to talk to you guys about what happened. I don't think it's enough just to say Dennis was going off, which he did, but you guys were all chipping in there as well. It just clicked, but tell us how.
How? I don't know. Like, we started this tournament so shaky. I mean, we played Dust2 against Fluffy Gangsters as well, and everything was like so shabby. I didn't feel so comfortable. Some of my other teammates also didn't. Next pulled us through that one. This time Dennis stepped up amazingly and everybody else also upped their game a little bit, and then you see what can happen. If everybody of our team is on form and we're playing together, then we can do great things.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sorry, my mic's shaking a little bit as well because I was getting a bit hyped up seeing those last few rounds from you guys. Everyone wants to see this kind of story as well for you guys. You're not underdogs, but we know how much you want it. We've seen it. We've seen how hard you've worked for it as well. So it's fantastic stuff. We'll keep it short here, Chris, as well, but pleasure again. Great to see you guys performing as well. And it is going to be mousesports playing on home soil in Cologne, or at least mostly so anyway. But G2 are not out of this one yet. Alex, they still have a chance tomorrow.
They certainly do, and Katowice was very impressed with what mousesports, as are we at the desk, did just there. What do you say about that one in an analyst's desk? I mean, brutal. It was savage, and they did get wrecked. G2 just were completely checked out of that game, and it didn't look like they were ever present in it. One round, let's just make it clear that it wasn't the 16-0 that it looked like it could have been.
Yeah.
That was probably, well, yeah, that was the most surprising thing really about this game, that it wasn't a 16-0.
Yeah.
And then you sit here and try and analyze it. What have you got for me, guys? Shake your heads, shrug.
I think the way Natu painted the picture at the end there was a very good way of doing it. I think, yeah, he said for the better part of the first half, there was never more than 2 mousesports players who actually died per round. And if you just look at the overall round progression, how it went, it probably would have looked like G2 were closer to actually grabbing a couple of rounds here and there because they got a lot of bomb plants. I think they got 8 bomb plants on their T side, which normally would
That would
entail
equate
that.
to something, right?
Exactly,
It's-
you'd think that it was a really close game or something, but mousesports just doing a really good job of, well, playing the safest way possible. So if you can potentially give up a bomb plant, but you have a proper retake, you have a lot of nades, you have the main advantage, then go ahead and do that instead of potentially having one guy running up, trying to be the hero and eventually lose that advantage you still had. So no, this was just an absolutely crazy display of skill from mousesports,
Yeah.
and especially Dennis.
That was almost the perfect game from mousesports. I think
Yeah.
that Christian said it well, that team has a lot of capability, that when it all comes together and everyone plays well as a unit, this is what you can expect, and this is why people look at that lineup and they see incredible amounts of potential. And what a great moment for them. I literally, it was quite funny. We walked out here just as the game was ending to get back to this desk, and you see even the ESL Germany crew just standing there going, they're going to actually do this. Everyone decided to just jaws dropped, because that's the mousesports people want to believe in, that there hasn't been that big German team to kind of fly the flag for a long time.
A long time.
Back in the day, maybe you look at like the MTWs of the world a long time ago now. So it's good seeing that the potential is there. And well, now they've got, I guess, a foot in the right direction. They get a chance to go back to the LANXESS arena and actually do something. But this is a very promising sign for mousesports.
And I mean, now it's the next step for mousesports is getting in front of that LANXESS crowd. You made a great point earlier that they didn't manage to make it last time, and now they have another shot. They will have secured that spot for their ticket to Cologne, Germany next month, and they're going to be playing for the $1 million major. They are the first team from here in the ESL Arena Katowice to secure their spot over just next month for the major. It is not too much to say about that one. G2 will go on to continue their fight. They still need just that one win, but this one will probably be weighing heavy on their minds. A 16-1 loss versus mousesports. They indeed are going to be riding a high as they put their feet up for Sunday. Not the same story for G2. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's one more game and the same story as well. One of the teams between Gambit and FaZe is going to be going to the major alongside Mouse. We'll be telling you who it is after this.